New today, officials are telling CNN that President Trump sent back changes to a proposed deal with Iran. Trump made the move after meeting with his advisors in the Situation Room on Friday. Now, while the details haven't been made clear, the president has insisted on tougher language for both the opening of the Strait of Hormuz and Iran's nuclear obligations. With us now is Tina Fordham. She's the founder of her own geopolitical strategy company and the author of a book due out later this year, Mad World, a geostrategy survival guide for leaders. All right, Tina, thank you for being with us. Now, if President Trump is looking for tougher language on key issues, is he likely to get it?
Thanks, Paula. I don't think Trump is likely to get a response from Iran that will meet his needs, because what he's been after from the beginning is, first of all, total and complete capitulation, which is not in the playbook of the IRGC. And then secondly, vindication for Operation Epic Fury. And that is not forthcoming either.
Now, Iran's powerful Speaker of the Parliament was quoted by state-run media as saying, quote, "The soldiers of the diplomatic battlefield have no trust in the words and promises of the enemy. What matters to us is tangible achievements that we must obtain, in exchange for which we will fill our commitments." How would you translate that? What exactly are they saying?
They're talking about trust, and decline in trust, decline in the U.S. reputation is not a factor only in these negotiations. It's also a wider global trend. I'm talking to you from London, where Europe and other historic U.S. allies are also wondering if the U.S. means what it says and if it will respect pre-existing agreements. Declining trust and reputation are big factors in coming to an agreement, and this agreement for Iran is really existential. So it is going to want, ironclad guarantees, and remember that they recall very clearly that they were in the middle of active diplomatic negotiations brokered by Oman when the U.S. started to attack. That's not really the done thing in diplomacy.
Now, a related issue, we're about to begin the trading week with oil around $87. How much patience do investors have right now for a ceasefire to be sorted out, and where is oil likely headed?
Well, in my view, oil is headed higher, because even if, the agreement was signed tomorrow, the MOU, you'd still be looking at a period of weeks before the backlog was overcome. But we're not there yet. So markets have really reacted the strongest on President Trump's words. They're focused on other things, and AI and other trades. The disconnect is really pronounced. We are possibly heading toward an energy shock if the IAEA and other agencies are to be believed, and the market continues to price in a deal, and we don't have one.
So is there something Trump can do to shake the Iranians into agreeing to his terms?
Well, Iran they are masters at playing for time. And one of the things they're banking on is timing, and the fact that they believe the United States needs a deal, faster and more than they do, with U.S. midterms coming up in November and the kind of longstanding concern about higher oil prices and prices at the pump heading into U.S. elections. They are experts at stalling and at stonewalling. And that's why I think that this movie that we've seen since Operation Epic Fury launched in February is going to keep going and going to mess up every Sunday for me and a lot of other Iran watchers, as well as people in the region who would like to see closure and stability return. But what instead we're likely to see is a stalemate with a risk of protracted episodic kinetic incidents.
It seems that there are really few specifics about how to relieve Iran of its enriched uranium. Trump says it will be unearthed, but Iran appears to be saying it isn't going anywhere. So how does that part of all of this get resolved?
Well, if we, think back to February and the original rationale for Operation Epic Fury, it was to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons capability. And of course, that's been a major geopolitical goal for every US president going back some decades. The problem now is that the White House also has to contend with the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, which was functioning fine just before Operation Epic Fury. So in other words, Iran has more negotiating leverage. It's got more cards, if you want to use the White House terminology, and just depriving it of that capacity to possess nuclear weapons capability has been a huge and protracted subject of diplomatic negotiations for many years. Of course, that's how we got the Obama era JCPOA, and it's why I'm pessimistic that there is likely to be a deal that President Trump will be happy with.
Tina Fordham in London, thank you.